Okay, so I want to follow up with a year and a half later, after realization, kind of what what life feels like. Um, well, let's see, where do I begin? So I think I previously, I told you before that, and I fixed my sleeves. I noticed that my t-shirt, because it's so cold here, I have another t-shirt on. My t-shirt was sticking out, so at least I fixed that. That was annoying. Um, so after realization, I've heard many people say that they describe their self themselves, their sense of self. I don't know if this is literal, but the sense of self, feeling of ourselves is up here. And then I think this is where really Kundalini comes in. Now you can, if you don't have a fully awakened Kundalini, there may be this feeling or tendency to kind of stay up here in the transcendent feeling of life. They're all up here enjoying life and kind of denying the validity of the body and this experience. And there's, you hear people say, well, who is it that's eating dinner? There's nobody here. We're just going to stay up here on the mountain. So I think those might be a stage prior. If you have realization without Kundalini, then you have that feeling, that sense that you're going to stay up there on the mountain. But Kundalini, if it's awakened in you, fully awakened after realization, then the process of embodiment happens. And it's like, it's a magnetic pull. As Kundalini keeps rising up, I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but as she rises and begins the process of clearing out all your attachments, because that's what's going to happen. As soon as you realize and your Kundalini is awakened, dark night of the soul is going to kick in. And it did, big time. Anyway, as she keeps rising, it's a magnetic pull that begins to pull, this is what it feels like, I don't know literally, your causal body, your sense of self, back down into your body, layer by layer. And this is when the dark night of the soul begins to kick in, because you were first up here totally in transcendent la la land, happy as a clam, and feeling just bliss, feeling nothing. You're transcendent. And then you have no sense of I. And then all of a sudden, Kundalini starts drawing you back in. And little by little, this is what happened to me. I could feel this I-ness coming back. And I can feel my sense of self. It would like drop here, and then here, and here, and here, and here. And now I feel it totally back here again. I feel a sense of personal self, although not a I. I mean, there's not an I here. There's not an individual, but there is a personal self. But when that starts happening, it feels like you've lost everything. You've lost God, right? It does not feel good at all. Because you feel ordinary again. Yeah, that's another thing I didn't mention, is after, a few months after realization, well, even the morning when I woke up, you realize, oh my God, that's it? That's what I've been waiting for? Was that? It's such an ordinary experience, and nothing changes. Nothing in your life truly changes except your identification of who you thought you were. I mean, obviously everything changes, but you're not happier. Life didn't suddenly turn to bliss. it's such an ordinary event. And that feeling, that knowingness of realization or being awake is such an ordinary event, keeps piling on as the months go on, and you get more and more depressed, and it just, oh, you know, and that knowing that everything's kind of an illusion really starts to settle in, and you think, well, there's nothing to do here then. Why strive for anything? This is, part of Dark Night of the Soul. You begin to just, well, life is meaningless. I know this is exactly what I went through, maybe still going through. You just have no motivation to do anything because you realize it's all an illusion. So why there's nothing to strive for? You see that that's all ego. Anyway, so that's what happens. It starts, Kundalini is working her magic, and she's blowing out all your fears and everything. So it gets really, really hairy. And at the same time, causal body is beginning to come down. And I have felt it. I have felt it come down. And it's not the causal. What I feel is it's like the template for the causal body, or the embodiment has been laid. I could really feel that coming down over the last year and a half. It's been really interesting. I'm certainly not fully embodied, that's for sure. But at least I know the template has been laid. And that's the process of embodiment. We want to rise up and descend down and meet our true self, I guess, through the heart, and be able to work and embody the unmanifest and express it through the manifest. Anyway, I'm not saying that right, but you get my drift. Okay. Oh, and this clearing out, Kundalini, she's going to do her thing and really tear you apart. Have I lost the ability to, you think you've lost God because your body is still catching up to this realization, right? Now, your cells, they inherently know cosmic consciousness, but we have programmed them to function outside of their natural knowing. And so when you hit realization, it's a shock for even your cells, and they have to now kind of rewrite themselves. So you go through this whole physiological change. It can feel like a depression. You have energy, like there's a part of you that wants to tell the world about realization and the nature of consciousness, and you want to express, but then your body is saying, no, everything is depressed. And so everything is in transformation, and this can last for years. I've noticed that, boy, I can't even tolerate half the food I was eating before, although bad, I could tolerate it, but now I can't tolerate hardly anything. If I have just an ounce of sugar or more sugar than I can tolerate, it's terrible. So the body, so I know these are signs for me. I know that there's been a transformation because I can barely handle bad food. Anyway, I can still, I'm not abiding, of course, in unity consciousness, or even, I can't remember if it's God or cosmic, but I can still get there. Meaning I can still not shift. These words are not appropriate, but you can still get, concentrate. I can still concentrate my awareness and move myself into unity consciousness. And I can still see a slight little golden glow around everything. It's not as strong as it was before, but I can still see it. And when I really kind of relax in and just surrender into full consciousness or awareness, that feeling of buckling my knees energy is still there. But it doesn't buckle me as much as it used to, which I recognize as up-leveling of my body system. Anyway, still a work in progress, and that's where I am now. Okay,